You know, friends, Donald Trump's lies about federal relief efforts to help the victims of the recent hurricanes, those lies are not just political problems. They're legal problems and they're public safety problems. Let's talk about that because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, here's a question. How many different populations are we going to sacrifice to Donald Trump's lies, to his violence-inducing rhetoric? Remember during the coronavirus pandemic when he kept blaming China for what was happening here in the U.S., even though so much of it was his product of, I'll be generous here, Trump's mismanagement of the pandemic? He kept demonizing China, and using these mocking terms like, this is the Kung flu, you know who's to blame. Who paid the price for Donald Trump's lies? The Asian American population, with a horrific spike in violent crime and hate crime against Asian Americans. More recently, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance have been telling lies knowingly and intentionally, telling lies about the Haitian community stealing and eating pets. And violence against the Haitian community, immigrants, including Haitian Americans, spikes, and bomb threats abound. And now, Trump's at it again, lying about and endangering federal workers, FEMA workers, who are just trying to bring much-needed help and relief to hurricane victims. Let's start with the new reporting. This from Newsweek. Headline, Armed Militia Hunting FEMA Causes Hurricane Responders to Evacuate. And that article begins, Federal emergency response workers operating in North Carolina's Rutherford County in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene were told to evacuate on Saturday over concerns that an armed militia was threatening workers in the area. Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, sent a message to numerous federal agencies at around 1 p.m. on Saturday warning that FEMA had advised all federal responders in Rutherford County to stand down and evacuate the county immediately, the Washington Post reported. National Guard troops had come across 2 trucks of armed militia saying they were out hunting FEMA, the email said. The IMTs, incident management teams, have been notified and are coordinating the evacuation of all assigned personnel in that county. A FEMA spokesperson confirmed to Newsweek on Monday that the agency had made changes to its recovery efforts to ensure the safety of staff and survivors. Disaster survivor assistant teams worked temporarily at fixed locations and secure areas and no longer went door to door out of an abundance of caution. And friends, let's add this reporting from MSNBC. Headline, FEMA has real problems. Trump's lies are making things harder. As cleanup from Hurricane Helene continues, former President Donald Trump and other Republicans have irresponsibly chosen to spread lies about the Federal Emergency Management Agency, one of the most visible facets of the federal government. While FEMA has been rightly criticized for years as ineffective, slow, and overly bureaucratic, the lies that the Republicans are pushing are different. Among the many lies that are being told, that FEMA will run out of money before the end of the year because it gave that money to migrants. That the Biden administration is only giving out a few $100s in aid to people in total, and that aid in North Carolina is being denied so the federal government can steal that land for mining lithium. And friends, with these lies being spread by Donald Trump and his Republican flunkies, militias, armed militias, begin, quote, hunting FEMA, hunting federal workers who are trying to help hurricane victims. You know, friends, I think I may have said this before. I think I may have made this point previously. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But Donald Trump is a defendant on pretrial release in multiple criminal cases, and he's a defendant on pre-sentence release in yet another criminal case after being convicted of 34 felonies. And the law provides, I know you've heard me say this before, but I will never stop talking about how the law is supposed to work, frankly, how the law does work when most people are defendants on release and they present a danger to the community. Certainly how the law would apply to me and to you. And I'll never stop talking about it, so bear with me for just 2 more minutes. The law provides that somebody like Donald Trump on pretrial release or pre-sentence release, if he poses a danger to the community, even one person in the community, he should be revoked on release and detained pending trial or pending sentencing. But friends, at this point, I've got to pivot because currently the institutions of government don't seem to have it in them, don't have the appetite or the will or the courage to hold Donald Trump accountable and to stop the insanity and the lies and the violence-inducing rhetoric. No, we choose to sacrifice enormous swaths of the American people, population after population, whether Asian Americans, immigrants, Haitians, or federal workers who are trying to help hurricane victims. We sacrifice them all to Donald Trump's lies and violence-inducing rhetoric. But here's the thing, friends. Maybe, just maybe, the way to ultimately have Donald Trump held accountable is to get a former prosecutor into the Oval Office. You ready? Let's do this. Vote. Yes, in numbers too big to rig and too real to steal. And can I add, friends, please vote early. Vote right now if your jurisdiction allows early voting. I voted a couple of weeks ago. Please vote early. Why do I say that? Because Donald Trump continues to put the word out, trying to recruit poll watchers. Yeah, just go down and watch people vote. You think some of those same armed militiamen might be out there watching people vote? Yeah, we know what Donald Trump is doing. He's going to try to get his folks to intimidate, people who go to the polls intending to vote Democrat. But if you vote early, if you vote now or well in advance of Election Day, well, Donald Trump's poll watchers probably won't be out there. So it is also a public safety issue. I don't want to deter people from going to the polls on November 5th, if that's when you have to go. But vote, vote, vote. Because if we can get a former prosecutor into the Oval Office, the tide may turn against Donald Trump. Once Donald Trump loses, he will spend the rest of his days in courtrooms and jail cells. Of that, I am convinced. But we also need to stop tolerating and turning a blind eye and declining to address the danger of the lies and the violence-inducing rhetoric of guys like Donald Trump, and now throw J.D. Vance into the mix, telling his knowing and intentional lies about Haitians and immigrants, and all of Donald Trump's Republican flunkies and lackeys, lapdogs, and sycophants out there parroting those lies, making things even more dangerous for multiple populations across America. We can't continue to turn a blind eye. We can't decline to take this head on. And I think a former prosecutor in the Oval Office will do just that. I hope and I trust she will do just that. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe. Please stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.